SQL stands for Structured Query Language, which is a programming language used to communicate with relational databases. Hello everyone, this is Miss Karen. In this video, we will learn the principles and concepts of the fundamentals of SQL, how to write queries against single and multiple tables, manipulate data in tables, and create database objects. Our objectives: to familiarize with the basic commands and functions of SQL, understand how to use SQL for data manipulation, install and set up database environment, and run basic commands and functions of SQL. So let's enrich your vocabulary with these terms that you will encounter throughout our lesson. Data are raw facts. Database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system. A data type refers to the format of data storage that can hold a distinct type or range of values. Query is a request to access data from a database to manipulate it or retrieve it. SQL is a programming language used to communicate with a database. SQL commands, these are instructions used to communicate with database to perform tasks, functions, and queries with data. Syntax. The syntax of a computer language is the set of rules that defines the combination of symbols that are considered to be correctly structured statements or expressions in that language. Table is a collection of related data held in a table format within a database. It consists of rows and columns. A local server is a web application that is hosted locally on your own computer. In here, we will use SAMP, which is an abbreviation cross-platform Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Perl, which is an application that will allow you to build website offline on a local web server on your computer. An SQL, or a structured query language, is a language used to issue commands to the database. Through the SQL, we can create or insert data, we can read or select the data, update and delete data. It is also pronounced as SQL, but some people will just use the three letters SQL. In this course, we will access the database through the local host. We need also a local server. It is a computer or a computer program that manages access to a centralized resource or service in a network. SAMP is a local server that we are going to use, and SAMP is needed to run PHP and MySQL. MySQL is the DBMS that we are going to use, and PHP, it is a server-side language that we need to develop our web-based system. In setting up our database environment, we need a local server called SAMP. SAMP is an application that can be installed in your computer. Since PHP and MySQL are both server-side languages, you will need a local server to practice it. How does it work? So after installing the SAMP, find it on your desktop and click the application to make it run. After it runs, you will see this window. Next is to click the Start next to Apache and wait for it until the button turns green. And click again the Start button next to MySQL and wait for the button to turn green. Both Apache and MySQL are running now. Next, click on the Start button. After running Apache and MySQL, go to your browser and type localhost/phpMyAdmin. It should redirect you to this and not on Google search. It means that you have configured it properly. You can now create your database. Processing question: why do we need to install SAMP? And have you installed it properly without errors? If you haven't installed it properly, what are the errors that you have encountered? MySQL is a relational database management system developed by Oracle Corporation, used mostly for web servers. MySQL can be deployed and run on any operating system. MySQL is easy, fast, and can be used for any type of database, whether it is relational or simple, large or small. A database is represented by a table. A table stores and displays data in a structured format consisting of columns and rows. These are similar to what we are seeing in Excel spreadsheets. A primary key is a field in a table that uniquely identifies the table records. The primary key's main feature should be unique and it should not contain null values. In this example, the table contains 5 records and 4 columns: ID, first name, last name, and telephone number. Tables are limited to 1 primary key each, and as you can see, the primary key here is ID, since they uniquely identify each record. The primary key's value must be different for each row. SQL has 2 categories. First, we have the DDL or the Data Definition Language. It includes commands to create database objects such as tables, indexes, and views, as well as commands to define access rights to those database objects. The command create table creates new table in the user's database schema. Not null is used to ensure that a column will not have null values. Unique is used so that all columns will not have duplicate values. A primary key is used to indicate that an attribute is a primary key for a table. Drop table is used to permanently delete a table and all of its data. Next is the DML or Data Manipulation Language. It includes commands to insert, update, delete, and retrieve data within the database tables. Insert is used to insert rows into a table. Select is used to display attributes from rows in one or more tables or views. Update is used to modify an attribute's values. Delete is used to remove one or more rows from a table. What are the data types that can be stored in a database? A data type specifies the type of data for a certain column. First, we have numeric. It includes int, float, and double. Int is a normal-sized integer that can be signed or unsigned. Float is a floating point number that cannot be unsigned. Float and double means a decimal number. Double is a double precision floating point that cannot be unsigned. Next is date and time. If we use date, the format of the data should be in year, month, and day. Datetime is a combination of both date and time. The format is year, month, and day, and the time in hours, minutes, and seconds format. A timestamp is calculated from midnight, January 1, 1970. A time stores the time in hours, minutes, and seconds format. In string type, we have char, varchar, blob, and text. Char is a fixed-length character string. Size is specified in parentheses and maximum is 255 bytes. A varchar is a variable-length character string. Max size is specified in parentheses, while blob is a binary large objects, and these are used to store large amounts of binary data such as images and other types of files. We can use blob in storing images, videos, audios in our database. Text is a large amount of text data. Take note that in writing our SQL query, remember to end each SQL statement with a semicolon to indicate that the statement is complete and ready to be interpreted. SQL is case insensitive, but it is a common practice to write all SQL commands in uppercase. A syntax rule in SQL is that a single SQL statement can be placed in one or more text lines. In addition, multiple SQL statements can be combined on a single text line. White spaces and multiple lines are ignored in SQL. However, it is necessary to avoid white spaces and lines. An SQL constraint is used to specify rules for table data. We use not null to indicate that the column cannot contain null value. A primary key enforces the table to accept unique data for specific column, and this constraint creates a unique index for accepting the table faster. Auto-increment is used to allow the unique number to be generated when a new record is inserted into a table. Let's go now with the basic SQL commands. In creating a table, we use the keyword create table, and we use the following syntax: create table, and then the table name, parenthesis, the name of the first column, its data type, and the size, and so on and so forth. And then primary, and the column name that will be used as a primary key. Next, alter table is used to add, delete, or modify columns in an existing table. We use add to add a new column. For example, alter table, the table name which is people, and then add a column name date of birth, and the data type is date. Drop column, it deletes the column. Alter table, drop column, and the name of the table to be deleted. Next, we use change to rename the column. For example, alter table, people is the table name, change first name to fname, varchar 100. Varchar is the data type, and the size is 100 characters. Next, in renaming a table, for example, we use the keyword rename table, then the table name people to the name of the new table, users. Next is drop table people, removes the whole table and all of its data. In using constraints, we use auto-increment, not null, and primary key. For example, we will create a table called users, and the columns are ID, username, and password. The column ID should be an integer, and the size is 5 digits, and it should be not null, and it will be auto-incremented. For username, the data type is varchar, and the maximum size is 40 and not null. Password is varchar, maximum character is 10, not null, and the primary key for that table is the ID. Now in this exercise, let us create a table named employees with columns ID, first name, last name, and age. Insert into is a keyword used to add new rows of data to a table in the database. The syntax of insert into is as follows. Insert into, then the name of the table, then the values that we are going to store in the database. Or, insert into table name, specify the columns and then the values that we're going to add. Make sure that the order of the values in the same order as the columns in the table. For example, we're going to insert values 8, Anthony, Young, 35 into the table employees. Or another method is insert into employees, specify the column name, ID, first name, last name, and age, and the values that we are going to add in that column. For ID, we will insert 8. For first name, we will insert Anthony. For last name, we will insert Young. And for age, we will insert 35. Select is used to select data from a database. A query may retrieve information from selected columns or from all columns in the table. The SQL select syntax is as follows. Select and then the column that we are going to display from the table name. Column list includes one or more columns from which the data is retrieved. Table name is the name of table from which the information is retrieved. The select statement has many optional clauses. From specifies which table to get the data. Where specifies which rows to retrieve. Order by specifies an order in which to return the rows. And as provides an alias which can be used to temporarily rename tables or columns. In this example, we are going to select the first name from the table employees. So all of the first name in the record will be displayed when we use this query. So select first name from employees will display John, David, Chloe, Emily, and James. Take note that a select statement retrieves 0 or more rows from one or more table database. From one or more database tables. In this example, we will display all of the records in this table. In order to do that, we query select asterisk from employees. Asterisk means we are going to display all of the records in that table. So when we query select all from employees, it will display this table. update is used to alter data in the table. The syntax of update is as follows. Update and the table that we're going to alter, then set the column name that we're going to change, and then its value. In the condition, we will specify which record that we are going to update. Take note, if you omit the where clause, all records in the table will be updated. For example, update employees, set city to Los Angeles. If we did not include where, all of the records in the column city will be updated to Los Angeles. But if we include a condition, we will just specify the record that we are going to change. So in here, we're going to change the city of the employee, number 1, to Los Angeles. Delete is used to remove data in the table. The syntax is delete from the table name and then the condition. If you omit the where clause, all records in the table will be deleted. The delete statement removes the data from the table permanently. For example, delete from employees where ID is equals to 1.